How's it going, guys? Figured I'd start off your Monday with a nice little Yu-Yu match I had with someone by the name of Mikachu. I think this was not really much background into this. Took it up my stream, I think, last week or something like that. It was one of like 2 or 3 good matches I had. So we'll just go ahead and jump right into it, and we'll play it back right now. Alright, now there was one actually illegal thing that happens later on in the game. We don't really have to worry about it for the time being. But, you know, outside of that, you know, just a regular-ass Yu-Yu team, I'm not really noticing anything out of the ordinary. I mean, Xatu's probably just going to end up being there to try to bounce back my Toxic Spikes. As you can see, this is kind of the variant of the Toxic Spikes theme, like core thing that I try to have from time to time, which is just Drapion, Roserade, Dusclops, and then like 3 other things. I kind of just slap things together just to have variety, but at the same time, you know, kind of have a goal in mind, if that makes any sense. But I'm going to go and lead off with Leadvile because... Leadvile makes sense. That kind of makes sense. But anyways, I do have Ice Shard on it, so I'm definitely going to want to go ahead and scare it off. Make sure it doesn't go for the U-turn. There's no need to over-predict this early in the game. You know, that's about as early as you can make an over-prediction, and then you just end up fucking up. So, would have been nice if I could nail an Ice Punch on this thing, but to be honest, there's no way I'm going to 2-hit KO it anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and go out to Drapion, which is especially defensive build, and what that's going to let me do is, since it got the download as opposed to the trace, which is a little out of the ordinary, you know, I'm not going to judge it, but it gives me the opportunity to set up the Toxic Spikes now. I don't care if Xatu comes in and tries to bounce them back, mainly because I have 3 things on this team immune to the Toxic Spikes. 2 of them will absorb them back up. So there really is no such thing as a misfire as long as I can get a safe switch in. I'm not going to want to switch in Darmanitan or Dusclops, or I forget what my 3rd thing is that actually happens to be weak to it. Weavile, speaking of. But I'm going to go ahead and try to set up the 2nd layer right now. Magic Bounce comes back, you know, just like I was talking about. No big deal, because I can go into Empoleon as a transition to take hits from Xatu, or, you know, take a status. You know, I will be immune. Well, I can't really think of anything that Xatu would go for on me that I would really be worried about. It does go for the T-Wave. You know, having a slow Empoleon, this Empoleon, you know, in specific, is not really going to be that big a deal. I'm not going to go for the Yawn because it bounces it back. I was asking this in the stream, and it's like, you know, it doesn't really have a reason not to bounce it back. It's just kind of a little curiosity thing I had, you know, bounces the Yawn back at me, whatever. But I'm not going to go for my Rock, so I might as well just go for the Ice Beam, see what kind of Xatu set it is. He doesn't really have any business staying in with it either beyond setting up the screens. So he goes into Hitmontop, which I'm suspecting is a rapid spinning set, but I'm just going to go for the Scald. I was initially trying to get a burn on the Xatu just to get some residual damage going, but I can see that this thing's taking the hits really well, so I'm going to want to go ahead and get out of here. Decide to go into my, I guess my Drapion to absorb the Toxic Spikes. I don't really care if he ends up blowing away, the spikes on his side of the field, because his Hitmontop's already poisonous, so not bad. But I see that he's a bulk up set, so that's like the 2nd time I've run into a Hitmontop lately that I think is gonna rapid spin on me, but doesn't. So it's a little bit odd, but whatever. I'm not gonna worried about it too much, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, decide to go out into my Dusclops now that the Toxic Spikes are gone, because I don't want my Dusclops to be poisoned. Predicting the Rapid Spin, you know, Bulk Up and Rapid Spin, I've seen weirder shit on a Hitmontop, trust me, but Bulk Up and Mach Punch is what ends up happening. And, you know, I dodged the Mach Punch. Best thing can probably do is either Stone Edge or Pursuit. It does try to go for the Pursuit. But even at +1, it's still not going to do a, you know, terrible amount. I do say that it's Life Orb as well, so, you know, just a Tech Top thing going on. It does get boosted by Technician thanks to the fact that I didn't switch out. But since I have the sub up, I might as well just, I think I try to go for another sub right now. I might be at a good amount of HP to be able to do it, since he will take Life or Recoil, and then he will die to the Poison as well. I think he'll die to the Poison is what I was banking on. And this might have been the game where he doesn't. Does he? Does he? He does not. I specifically remember being pretty mad at this. But now, I gotta try to switch out with the sub, like it doesn't matter. But the thing is, this is going to give him switch advantage too, because he is going to die as I switch out, which means that I send in something after this, and then he gets to send in something after. So I was kind of curious how the order on this was going to go, but it kind of makes sense that I would send in something first, and then he would be able to. But I send in my Drapion right now, just because it's probably the thing that'll bait out the Flygon the best, and then I can actually just decide to go out, I believe, into my Dusclops as Death Fodder, so that way I can get my switch advantage right back as he kills it off with U-turn, or if he just decides to make a hard switch for whatever, then, you know, I can kind of salvage it. But he hits the Stone Edge, you know, no big deal. At least I figure out that he's locked in on Stone Edge, assuming that it's a Choice Scarf build, like all Flygons, or not all Flygons, most Flygons tend to be. So, knowing that he's locked in a Stone Edge, I get to go into Empoleon, and then I'm going to try to fire fire off an Ice Beam on this Flygon, or, you know, whatever decides to come in. More than likely going to end up being the Xatu, probably predicting my Stealth Rocks, or just wanted to take hits from me in general and get the screens back up. You know, it's a kind of multi-purpose switch, I guess. But gets the first screen up. I did go for the Ice Beam on that turn, which is a little bit annoying, because looking at the damage from this Ice Beam, he probably would have gone for the light screen on this turn, you know, had I not been paralyzed, but whatever, it's all good. So, he goes for the Roost as I go for the Ice Beam. I was kind of wondering what recovery move he was going to have. I would expect with dual screens he would have Wish to be a little bit more supportive of your team and kind of ease the switches somewhat. But, you know, if you want to have Roost, that's fine. So, I know it's full set. I know that it does not attack whatsoever, meaning that my Weavile is pretty free to come in here. I don't really know what I was scared of in the first place. Probably just T-Wave, but he does have the Reflect, he does have the Light Screen. I'm not seeing lefties, I think, so he's got Light Clay. You know, it's a decent set. I don't know why I don't have one of these, but whatever. I try to go for the Pursuit, thinking that he'll try to switch out, you know, be scared of the Ice Punch or the Night Slash or something like that. But he doesn't. He stays in because he's a smart motherfucker, and he knows that thanks to the Reflect, he'll be able to live just a neutral Pursuit. I probably should have gone for the Ice Punch. But this Weavile is actually going to go ahead and prove to me that a paralyzed Weavile with Ice Shard is still not a dead Weavile, and it's going to be very important because, number one, it takes out the Xatu, which means after this point, once I can wear out the screens, it's going to be a lot easier. For now, I don't know what Marill does, but I know I need to keep my Weavile safe from any unnecessary danger until I can match it up against Flygon and take it out with said Ice Shard, because Flygon doesn't have any priority. So, for now, I'm going to go into Drapion, not really knowing what it's going to do. I was thinking like Sub Punch or something like that. I see Belly Drum, which is like, I'm going to try to phase this thing out, or I can try to attack it right now. I was curious as to what my option was in the stream. But some people were thinking, oh, you know, he's going to have Belly Drum and Aqua Jet, and I was like, that's illegal because they come from two different parent egg move pool things, what have you, whatever they're called. But the thing is, he does have both of them. And, you know, that's kind of sad-faced because, you know, that's a +6 Marill that took something out, and it probably shouldn't have. What you can have is you can have Belly Drum and Waterfall, but you can't have Belly Drum and Aqua Jet. So, the more you know. But the thing is that my Roserade is actually at full health, and it's kind of, you know, the thing that utilizes the Toxic Spikes the most. But the sad thing is I really just use it to take a hit and then just Giga Drain this thing, because the rest of the team is, you know, it's kind of faster than me, so I'm not really going to want to take a hit from anything. I think what's left is Houndoom and then Flygon, but I at least get to take out this Marill, which had leftovers, which I find a little surprising. You know, if you're just going to put leftovers on it, why don't you just make an Azumarill? I don't know, whatever. Point is that the Reflect wears off, and then I believe the Light Screen is probably going to wear off on the coming turns as well. But, in comes Houndoom, it gets poisoned. I know Houndooms are naturally faster than me. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, decide to go into my specially defensive Empoleon. Don't know what he's going to go for, probably the Flamethrower if anything, but he decides to Nasty Plot on the switch, and I'm a little bit scared because I'm thinking this is just a Life Orb, you know, all-out attacking set. I do have, you know, maximum HP, maximum special defense, but I still don't think I'm going to take this hit beautifully. I do expect to live it, however, which is going to be pretty important because this activates my Torrent, and I'll be able to hit him with a Torrent boosted Scald, which will do a pretty damn good amount just because of that. I don't have anything invested in Spec Attack, so that's going to help. Now, it brings him at the range where if he takes me out with another Flamethrower, or, you know, he tries to hit me with another Flamethrower, he'll die to Life Orb or to Poison, what have you. I decide to leave in my Empoleon as fodder. I don't need Stealth Rocks this late in the game. I would much rather have a safe switch into something else, which I believe is my Weavile. And then I also have a Darmanitan, and then I think I have my Roserade left at this point, and he has Flygon and Porygon 2, for those of you keeping score at home. I believe that's what he has. But Weavile, as I mentioned earlier, is going to prove to me once again that a paralyzed Weavile is not, you know, out of the count just yet. However, if I had been fully paralyzed on this turn, he could have just Outraged for the win. Darmanitan probably not being able to take just a regular Outrage, and then, you know, having enough HP to take out Porygon 2 on the next turn successfully. So, that could have been a pivotal point in the match, but thankfully I don't get fully paralyzed, and it's Porygon 2 against, you know, these three things, and because I learned earlier that, well, not because, I actually learned earlier that it downloads the attack instead of the Spec Attack, so I can leave Weavile kind of in to die here. I was not really expecting to live this Tri-Attack, but, I mean, if I lived it, I would have gone for the Ice Punch just to get a good amount of damage off. Probably would have gone for the Ice Shard on the next turn, things like that. You know, the fact that I got paralyzed right there isn't really going to hurt me too much, because I've already made a decent amount of progress. If I had Dusclops, I could Curse, and then, you know, Pain Split, you know, that kind of thing, but, you know, unfortunate circumstances led it, so there's other things left. But it's at a pretty nice range of health where I was like, maybe an Adamant Flare Blitz will be able to take it out from here. I was kind of overestimating Porygon 2 at this point, but I felt a little bit confident that, you know, from that range of health, I would have been good to go. And it turns out I get a crit. I don't know how vital this is because I don't know his investment, but that's actually going to do it with the game. I think that's a Choice Scarf set. So if that didn't do the job, I probably would have switched out to Roserade, gotten a Leech Seed up, gone back out, and then just gone for superpowers continually, and I could have just done that. Roserade definitely would have worn it down because I do have that left, and it did download the attack as opposed to special attack. So we're kind of good on that end, and I thought that was a nice solid game to show you guys, you know, get your guys' week started off solid. So if you enjoyed it, you're welcome to leave a like rating, comment, subscribe, do your thing. Also, kind of wanted to talk to you guys about my uploading schedule. I've been thinking about slowing it down a little bit, probably after this week. I mean, I will do daily uploads this week, but the tentative schedule I did have in mind was just going back to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and picture, and then doing TCGO, moving those into the Tuesday, Thursday slots, so that way I no longer have multiple uploads on one day. I have guaranteed one thing coming for you guys, and then, you know, I can fill in Penumbra in those little gaps. It just gives me, you know, a lot better time. I kind of got some things on my plate that I want to take care of, but I still try to, you know, I want to please both ends of the spectrum, so if that makes sense. Anyways, that'll do it out of me. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you tomorrow.